Let's talk dandruff. About 50 million Americans suffer from dandruff. Dandruff is light flaking that tends to only be limited to the scalp. About 50% of the world's population suffers from dandruff. Some people might call it dry scalp. Some people may just call it flakes. The flakes on the shoulders and flakes throughout the scalp. It's a normal thing that people get. There's this tendency to think of it as something dirty or something that people are doing wrong, and it's really not. Dandruff and seborrheic dermatitis are on the same spectrum. Seborrheic dermatitis is a more inflammatory type of dandruff. It can be on the scalp, around the eyebrows, within your beard, and other areas on the body. You've got excess oil and dead skin cells and this greasy yellow scale, and the yeast loves to flourish in that environment. So we really don't want to add more oil because it's like adding fuel to the fire. What we want to do is reduce the oil, reduce the flakes, and get rid of the yeast called melasthesia. Again, dandruff, not very inflammatory, still flaky and itchy. Seborrheic dermatitis, very inflammatory, red, itching, scaling, and affects other areas of the body. How is seborrheic dermatitis different than psoriasis? Well, psoriasis is an autoimmune disorder where your body is attacking your skin in certain places of the body, and it can happen on the scalp. Whereas seborrheic dermatitis is just something that naturally happens. Psoriasis can also have very thick plaque, different than the light flakes and greasy scale of dandruff and seborrheic dermatitis. Psoriasis can affect a lot of the same areas as seborrheic dermatitis. So the difference between the two is, well, seborrheic dermatitis is just something natural that all humans can have, whereas psoriasis is more of an autoimmune disorder where the immune system is attacking the skin. Seborrheic dermatitis is going to be a yellow greasy scale with a thinner patch, whereas psoriasis is going to be thicker plaques with a silvery scale. In most cases, your medical provider is going to be able to notice the difference between those two diagnoses easily and be able to give you a diagnosis just based on the appearance alone. However, sometimes a biopsy could be done to figure out the difference between the two. Now, why will RestoraScalp help for your dandruff, seborrheic dermatitis, and or psoriasis? Let's take a look at the ingredients. Rice starch. Its main function is that it's going to absorb oil. Now we know oil is a big problem in seborrheic dermatitis. So if we reduce the oil, then we also potentially reduce the risk of forming seborrheic dermatitis and creating this oil-rich environment that yeast loves to live in. We discussed that one thing that seborrheic dermatitis and psoriasis have in common is inflammation in the skin. So in these conditions, we do want something that reduces inflammation. And we've got several ingredients in RestoraScalp that help to reduce the inflammation in the skin. Green tea, chamomile, arrowroot powder, and cranberry seed. Salicylic acid has been recognized by the FDA as a treatment for dandruff, seborrheic dermatitis, and psoriasis. So we're using that ingredient to lift the scale up off your scalp. By combining these ingredients along with others, we have created an extremely effective dry shampoo. Experience the ultimate in hair and scalp care with RestoraScalp and see the difference it can make for yourself.